Hello, my name is Michael Gallion. Welcome to ProLab and another episode of Bird Control Podcast, the Modern Bird Control Podcast, the only podcast available to learn all the ins and outs of bird control industry. And one of the areas of particular interest are solar panel opportunities with bird control. So, solar panels and birds. Let me just start by saying the people who designed and created the current most common solar panels we see on residentials all across North America, they see these as power generating panels that are good for the homeowner. In the world of bird control, we see these as power generating pigeon coops. If you were to, first of all, design a structure that would be the best possible magnet for pigeons, it would be today's solar panel setup. By taking a solar panel and elevating it slightly above the head of a perfect height of a pigeon, that creates the perfect overhead protective situation for birds. Add into it Spanish tile roofing underneath, where you have small little rounded footholds for each bird to be able to get down low in that area. You've just got the perfect combination of all the protection that a pigeon could possibly be looking for. Therefore, the infestation rate is incredibly high, especially once one resident who has solar panels becomes infected or infested with pigeons. It sets the whole neighborhood on a course that eventually has to be solved one way or another. The pigeons reproduce at a much higher rate. They have great overhead protection. They have protection from predators. Many times, there are water sources all around the human structures, our homes, swimming pools, fountains, all kinds of structures where there's water. We leave food. There's natural sources of food all around. You've got this, perfect storm of situation for bird infestation. Therefore, there are a lot of people who already rushed in to this opportunity that come from solar panels. So the first word of warning is that in and of itself, it can be tricky to be profitable in the world of solar panel exclusion. Outside of the world of pest control, there are a lot of power wash companies, solar panel cleaning companies, roofing companies. Other words, industries outside of pest control that have easy access on a regular basis to solar panels, and they've decided that they would be able to solve these. And so it's very competitive. And the other part of it is it's somewhat labor intensive by comparing it to other things that most people do in pest control. You have to go up high many times. Of course, you're getting up on a roof, right? So right there, a lot of people in business have to have special insurance. If you're going to go above 4 to 6 feet, you have to have special insurance. Your insurance is going to cost a little more, especially if you ever have an injury. So it's all of these injuries where people go up on ladders on roofs can be prevented with proper training. There are so many people that start venturing upward and don't think about these things. And the second they have one of their employees fall off a ladder and get injured, now they have a whole world of problems. And right there and of itself, they may not be able to even be competitive anymore because they have to charge a higher rate on their jobs for people going up high. Then they look for other ways to do business, and they just eventually get out of it. But that doesn't mean there's still not a lot of opportunity for solar. And I want to talk about some of the pros and cons of getting involved in it, but more importantly, how to be more profitable by thinking outside the normal standards that most people use when they get involved in bird exclusion for solar panels. I want to talk about the process of why it has to be done a certain way. to make sure everybody understands. Birds nest, okay? When they nest, they imprint. When they imprint, they don't give up. That means they're going to come back. They're going to reclaim their nesting spots. If all we do is get up there every few months and power wash downhill, spraying out all the nest and the eggs and all the nasty bird droppings, it's not going to phase those birds. As a matter of fact, many times you make the problem worse because the pigeons will be reactive. They're going to come back with more pressure to really reproduce at a higher rate because their numbers are being diminished. They had eggs in their nesting site that didn't come to fruition. Perhaps several eggs were broken during power washing, which, by the way, is not a good practice for many reasons because, of course, most people, the resident themselves, won't want you to harm birds as a general rule. And if they see some of the chicks that weren't fully developed on the ground, I mean, you're gonna raise some real concerns by the customer side of things. It's not good strategy. There are birds that are not protected because they are invasive, and this is one of them. So you won't get yourself in too much legal problems with it, but as a general rule of business, you want to avoid this sort of thing, especially a PR disaster where you're doing things and people post it on social media. In general, people love birds. They're very tolerant of birds until they get an infestation on solar panels. And then even in that case, they don't want to kill off the birds. You can use chemicals to actually cause toxins to enter the body of a bird to try to shoo that bird away. And most people are not going to be receptive to that idea. They just want the birds to be gone. And so the only real way of properly solving solar panel birds, first of all, is through exclusion. Now, when I say exclusion, what I mean is that we create some sort of barrier for the bird to not get back to its nesting areas. Therefore, the bird will abandon and go somewhere else off of that customer property. Now, if it's in a subdivision full of solar panels, well, you already know where they're going to go. They've been born under solar panels. They reproduce under solar panels. They've been conditioned to go look for solar panels that are not excluded, and they just go to the next door neighbor or other neighbors with solar panels, and the whole process repeats. To exclude them, we have to keep them from being able to get under those solar panels, and that means you have to block the perimeter access all the way around the solar panels. But not only block them, do it in a way where you don't damage the warranty on solar panels. So in the studio here, I have a piece of material that Bird Barrier offers. There are other bird control companies that offer this same material. And this is what we call PVC coated mesh. It's a lot like hardware cloth that you would see at a hardware store. But there's a key difference. This black coating covers and seals all of the steel and metal component inside. This is a very durable and it's a very pliable material. You see, we folded a seam to add strength on the material itself. Has this folded seam and clamped down here. This is a very strong material. Put at an angle from the outside, the birds are not going to get in here. Now, we have a whole link on how to install this material properly that's going to be available at the end of today's podcast. And on our YouTube channel, we teach this exactly how to do it properly. But here's the important thing that I want to touch on with this material. It is very specifically written in the solar panel company and their warranties where a lot of times people will lease the solar panels. They're leasing them. They don't actually own them. It's like leasing a car. We bring that car back with a bunch of damage to it. You're going to have to pay for those damages because that car is going to be given back to the dealership. They need to sell that car as a used car or get it back into circulation, and they have to do the repairs. When solar panels run their length of their lease, if there's damage, you're going to have to pay for those solar panels. Most people don't realize this. The specific guidelines of protection requires that no metal is put in contact with the solar panels. Most people don't know this. They go down and they will go get just regular hardware cloth at a warehouse or a hardware store. And immediately when you attach metal to metal on that solar panel, you voided the warranty. You don't want to do that. If you're in this business, you want to do it properly, use the proper material. This is why there are different kind of clipping mechanisms on attaching. We don't just take self-tapping screws and drive those into the solar panels. You do that, you're voiding the warranty. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people get into this business and just do the low budget approach, and they've got ticking time bombs of warranty issues that may come back and eventually haunt them in the future. Also, the homeowner themselves cannot just leave birds unabated. They can't allow the droppings and material to sit on top of solar panels on the surface or underneath. That will void the warranty. If they come back to do an inspection, the solar panel company comes back and inspects, they'll notify the owner, hey, this is going to void your warranty. You have to solve this problem. And, for the most part, the solar industry is just kind of turned a blind eye to how common this problem is. In recent times, I'm hearing stories that some solar companies are now offering exclusion as an add-on, but only because of the profitability of the add-on. Now let's talk about the business side of it. Now that you know the kind of the science behind it and the proper technique, let's talk about the business side of it. Let's say that you want to get into this world of doing solar panel exclusion. Well, if you do any kind of business where labor is involved, you will realize that labor is your most expensive component. Therefore, reducing the labor on the install is important. So getting trained and getting proficient at doing this, getting up and down on ladders and doing this, there's special techniques. A lot of times we want to know our measurements in advance, cut this material to size before we even get up on the roof. We also have additional pieces of material that are designed for things like Spanish tiles so that you don't have to cut around the contours. That all saves labor and allowing you to do maybe 2 of these type of installs per day. To be competitive, you have to go what the market bears. And in many times I've seen there's about a $1,500 to $2,000 threshold depending on where you live. It can vary widely as far as what people are willing to pay. But a lot of times they need to be educated on some of the components that I just talked about, warranty protection. So if you're offering these services, you want to make sure you educate the customer. If they don't make a choice to go forward, they're at risk of voiding their warranty on their solar panels. That's part of your education to the customer, make sure they understand. The other thing is about the proper use of materials. It's going to cost a little more to use the proper materials, and the customer will understand that. They want it to be done right. They want it to be solved properly. They don't want birds coming back in after you've done your work because that's going to be on you. That's going to be a callback, and that, just like the labor cost, ruins your profitability. You have lower margins. You'll see people doing these installs for $500 or $600. A lot of times they're using the wrong materials. They're going to void out the warranties. A lot of times they get callbacks because they don't understand that pigeons and these birds that get under have an incredible reclaiming instinct. And if you don't properly attach solid materials in a way that cannot be breached, the birds get back under there and they just continue the activity. The customer is upset, you're going to get callbacks. From a business perspective, you need to add on. You need to not just offer the exclusion. And this is where coming into the world of bird control in the opportunities of solar panel, you need to be complete in your value proposition. So we exclude the birds using the material, then what? This is the part of it that's often left unsaid in solar panel exclusion. The birds oftentimes will just linger around that excluded perimeter, especially in the warmer climates like Arizona, Nevada. We see birds will still come back because they have imprinted that solar array They're trying to get back in. They can't get back in, so the next best thing is to nest or perch along the outer perimeter in the shadows during the triple-digit months of summer so they stay out of the heat. And the birds are still there. They're still creating problems. So there are secondary things that we do that we add on, like by adding optical gel around the perimeter. This multisensory disc can be a great 1-2 punch on solar panel exclusion. So offering the solar panel exclusion at one price along with supplemental follow-up maintenance. Wherever we move these birds to, they also need to be solved. Now, since they're not in a structure that could be used, simply use exclusion material, many times they're in areas that they just need to be taken off. Maybe the roof areas on the peaks, the ridge peaks. Sometimes there are roof returns that they move into. These can all be solved using a combination of either the exclusion material and optical gel. So having this add-on value makes you different. Other people will say they're just going to solve the solar panel, but they don't really think about the fact that birds will continue to linger around that property and sometimes makes the problem worse in an area they didn't want to make worse. So now all the birds move from the solar panels down under the eaves of the front door area, and the porch is getting bombarded every day by bird droppings. Now you've made the problem perception worse for the customer. By adding on something like this, you have another great value proposition, more profitability, plus greater customer satisfaction. Another area that you want to consider if you do this sort of exclusion is not just the exclusion, but cleaning services every quarter afterwards. Most people that have solar panels in the southern region, southwest region of the United States, deal with a lot of dust, sand, this sort of buildup on the panels. As the panels get coated with dust and material, their output goes down. So that is a dollar amount that can be quantified. If the panels are efficient at their maximum and they drop down to 70 or 60%, that is a dollar amount that can be totally measured in terms of the electrical savings. And as it diminishes, especially from bird droppings, right, these numbers go down. And there's a return on investment right there just by making the solar panels as efficient as possible. When people buy solar panels, they want them to be at maximum efficiency. So they have a natural tendency to understand the logic of keeping those panels clean. The beauty in the combination of bird control and solar panels is that if solved properly, most of the problem will go away. But the customer wants a guarantee that they're not going to have a buildup on those panels. So by offering quarterly cleanings, you get residual income from solar panel install projects. And we see these type of programs that are growing all the time, not just the recurring revenue of cleanup, but by recurring revenue of maintaining a home over a 1 or 2 year period that had heavy infestation. The heavy infestation of birds on that house leaves a very negative feeling in the customer's mind that these birds just will not stay away, especially if they have neighbors nearby that their homes are left untreated. Which brings us to the last profitable opportunity, which is word of mouth. Word of mouth and then localized marketing. So you're really good at solving birds and solar panels. You've got it down to a science, you're profitable, you do regular maintenance. One of the best programs that I've ever seen is a referral program. So you're going to offer quarterly maintenance on that solar panel structure that you've solved. For every customer that customer refers to you, you'll do free maintenance on theirs. So they get a free quarterly cleaning. You don't charge them anything because they've referred a customer. Eventually what they do is they'll refer several people. And look, you're already going to be in the neighborhood doing another install. You just go over and do a cleaning on their house anyway, right? You're going to do it at that time. It's about efficiency. It's about business models that make sense. Another thing that I've seen in this business are door hangers. Specific strategy door hangers though. Now look, this is kind of an outdated technology, but the utility companies will still use door hangers when there's a maintenance issue like on the gas line or the electric line. Hey, listen, your power is going to be out over the next 2 weeks. Here are the dates, be aware of it, right? What you can do, and I've seen this done very effectively, is a door hanger is put on the doors in that neighborhood. When you're finished your job, you say, hey, look at 325 address Wilson Avenue down the street. Notice the new exclusion I put on their solar panels. I've solved their pigeon problem. You can talk to them. If you have any questions, talk to them. We have a great referral program. Talk to them about it. If you're interested in having this solved, give me a call. What a great system. Because what you want to do is not just solve one solar panel. You want to gain that whole subdivision. You want to specialize in volume and get your numbers up. These are all great 1-2 combination opportunities that you have. If you're a PMP, a pest management professional, and you want to get into solar, there are great opportunities in this, but you have to have an overall strategy. Bird barrier, with what we do here, we specialize in this kind of training. We do certification. It won't hurt if you're in this world to be certified bird control specialist. You can get that through our training. It's online. It's very easy to sign up. Our certification program now is a 4-hour program that you do online, and that will only enhance your marketability of going into this revenue stream that's there. If you have any questions about what we've talked about today, of course, down below, wherever you've seen this, if it's on social media, if it's on YouTube, wherever you're watching, put it in the comments. We monitor our comments. We look for other ideas for other podcasts. If you've got ideas, if you have questions that are specific that we need to add to this podcast, this broadcast, let us know. We're here to help educate everybody and show you the opportunities in modern bird control. Again, my name is Michael Gallion. This is ProLab Studio, and we look forward to seeing you at the next podcast.